I'm Christy Shields. We've been doing so many fun experiments you can do at home. These ones are super easy to do at home. I just went into the kitchen and was basically able to find all of the ingredients for this one. Do you have any dirty pennies lying around? Well, we're going to learn about oxidation today and how we can make those pennies shiny and brand new, and also how we can make them green again. So that's kind of cool. We're going to take the science behind it because pennies are made out of copper. So first, when we're experimenting, it's always important to put on the safety glasses. So we're going to put those on today, even though we shouldn't have any issues. And again, all of these things you can find in your kitchen. So the first thing we're going to need today is some table salt. So we have some table salt with us for this experiment. You need just some basic water because we're going to have to clean the pennies at some point. You also are going to need white vinegar. So I have a huge thing of vinegar. It's great for cleaning. It's great for making food. We're going to use that today. That's one of our important ingredients with this. Also, you need some pennies. So make sure to go into the piggy bank and find some pennies. And it's important to know that after 1982, pennies were no longer just made of copper, they were also made out of zinc. So if you want these pennies to really react with the mixture we're going to make, you want to try and find the pennies that were made before 1982. It'll still work with the ones with zinc and copper, but it's best to try with those. So we have some pennies with us, and also, ladies will know that you have to take nail polish off. So we have these, which are cotton balls, but they're just flat. That will work really well for this experiment, but if you do not have these because you're not taking nail polish off, you could also just use plain paper towels. It'll work just as well. And you need a container with a lid. And I found that it was easiest to use a salad dressing lid. So that's what we're using here. You can see it's for salad dressing, but that's what we're going to put our experiment in. Now, this experiment does take a little bit of time, but you will see a reaction right away. And through video magic, we'll show you what it's like 8 hours later. So let's start off. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take a bowl. And I have one right here. You also need some bowls, and it's important to note that these bowls cannot be made out of metal. So ceramic, glass, plastic, all going to work fine. Just make sure your bowl is not made out of metal. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take our table salt, and I'm going to open this up here because I shut it so it didn't spill all over my car when I drove into work this morning. And it's really simple. The first thing we want to do is we want to just layer the bottom of the bowl with some salt. Again, just your typical salt you'll find in your kitchen. So we're going to just put some salt in there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is mix this with vinegar. So I have that here, and we're going to mix this together. So we're going to pour the vinegar in. All right. And the next thing we need to do is mix it together. So I have some Q-tips for another experiment. You can use a spoon, whatever you want to do. And we're going to mix the salt and vinegar together. All right, now you want to take your dirty penny. So you can take a few pennies and you're going to want to stick it in this mixture. So we're going to have to take up a close-up. I don't know if we can get a close-up of this penny. It's extremely dirty. And this is what we're going to do. You can see it's dull. There's stuff all over it. Let me see if I can turn this. You can kind of see that right there. It's not really a shiny penny, especially on the back. So we're going to stick that into the mixture for about 30 seconds to a minute. You want to stick that in. So we're going to stick that in. You can kind of see it bubbling a little bit. I think we're going to try and get a close-up here on that. So I'm going to take that over to the camera. Do I got it? Maybe not. Well, anyways, you can watch the reaction happen. There will be some bubbles that show up and different things as this cleans the penny. So you guys saw how dirty the pennies were before we started. So we're going to wait a minute or so. And what's happening is oxidation. So what the penny is made out of is copper. And with the vinegar and the salt, those are acids. And acids are able to take this off of the penny. It reacts with oxygen in the air, and it's called oxidization. So that's what we're doing here currently. So this is part one of our experiment. So we're going to wait a little bit and wait until those pennies are nice and shiny, and then we're going to rinse them off with water. That's the next step. We're going to rinse that off with just plain tap water, and that's what we have here, and we'll do that in this separate bowl. So we're waiting a little bit longer there for that. So But again, pennies are made out of copper, and when it reacts with oxygen, it creates copper oxide. That's what we're doing right now. And the penny looks dull because it was covered with copper oxide. So that's the science behind it. Salt and vinegar are acids, and this will dissipate that copper oxide. So that's what's happening currently. If you want a big example of this, think of the Statue of Liberty. That's made out of copper, and because it reacts with oxygen, that's why she's green. If you were able to put salt and vinegar all over the Statue of Liberty, it would be back to being shiny and copper-like, but that's not going to happen. And then we're going to do step 2. So I think it's been a minute. So we're going to take these pennies out, and you can see that they've really shined up here for us, which is really cool. They're not perfect, but now you can kind of read the back, because before you really couldn't even read the back of the penny, but now you can totally see that we have that there. So we're going to rinse these off with water. So I'm going to stick them in my extra bowl and rinse them off with water. You can just stick them under the sink at home, and then we're going to tap them off with a paper towel. And voila, you've cleaned your penny. So if you don't like dirty money, you can easily do this and get clean money. So that was part number 1. Now the next part, we're going to turn them green again, because come on, isn't that fun? I do have an example, because this does take a little bit of time. So we're going to watch this reaction a little bit. So the first thing you want to do is take 2 of your cotton balls, or you can also just use, again, a paper towel, which is really easy. You want to mark one that has the V on it for vinegar, and then you want another one that has an R on it for rinsed. So we're going to do one with an R and one with a V. And we're going to just write that on our cotton balls. Okay, so we're going to take one of the rinsed pennies, and we're going to stick it onto one of these, and we're going to just leave it go. So that is that. It's a rinsed penny. It was rinsed with water. The next one with the vinegar, we're going to dip another penny into the vinegar and salt. So we're going to do that. I'm going to smell it to find out which one was the water and the vinegar, because I forget. It sounds like that may be the water. This one seems like it's the vinegar. So stick that in and watch it react. And if not, I'm going to just stick another one in the other one, and we'll find out which one is which. So we're going to stick that and let that happen, and then we're going to stick that on this one, and we're not going to rinse it off. We're going to keep the vinegar and salt on the penny. So that's what we're going to do there. So we're going to take that out and stick that here. So next, you want to, I think it's easiest to take a picture of what the pennies look like currently before you continue with the experiment, because you want to check on it an hour, maybe 3 hours later, up to 8 hours. But we are also going to take, and you can see that there again, one has a V and one has an R, so we know which is which, and you just want to sit that on your kitchen counter. Now it's time to take the salad container, and we're going to dip one of the cotton balls again, and we're going to stick that with vinegar on it. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to do this over the sink just so that I don't spill it everywhere. And you want to get it soaked. And the whole point of putting this in the container is for the fact that we just want to make sure that the vinegar does not dry out, because again, we're going to be doing this for 8 hours. And we're going to stick another penny on this one. So we're going to stick a penny on this. And then we're going to close the lid, and that one again will wait. So there's vinegar in there, and again the penny. So that is going to sit there. So then you wait hours by hours. I don't know if any of you watch SpongeBob. 1 hour later. So through, again, TV magic, we're going to show you what it looks like. So what happens with the rinsed penny? It looks just like a normal penny by the end of 8 hours. Nothing really happens with the one that's rinsed. But the one that has the salt and vinegar on it, it reacts with oxygen again, and whenever you do that, you took the carbon oxide off of it, right? And now we're going to let that react quickly with the air. And also, salt has chlorine in it, so that's going to turn it green. I don't know if any of you have been swimming in the pool in the summer and you have light hair and it turns your hair green, kind of the same thing. So we have the one with the vinegar on it that we left out in the oxygen with the salt, and you can kind of see that the penny has a green tint on it, and there's like little circles of green on this penny. And that's because of the chemical reaction it had with the oxygen in the air, which is really cool because we took all the carbon oxide off of it. Now, what's really neat is the one that we kept in the container. I'm going to show you this. This penny has turned completely green. So I'm going to take this out, and you can see that this penny is completely green. It'd probably key out in front of the green screen. So that's what happens whenever we keep it with the vinegar. There's a little bit of oxygen in there, and it reacts with the salt and the vinegar. It turns completely green. So within 8 hours, you can have a completely green penny that kind of looks like the Statue of Liberty, which is really neat. So again, that's because of the salt reacting with that. I want to bring up that graphic one more time here. We can talk a little bit again about the science behind it. So copper interacts with the oxygen, creating copper oxide. Salt and vinegar are acids, and this can take off that carbon oxide. And then unclean pennies will turn green because the layer is dissolved, making it react with the chlorine, and that is called malachite. And so I do want to show you, we do have this molecular model. So that's really neat. And I want to show you how copper and also the oxygen react and what it looks like in a molecular structure. So these two are right here are the copper, these yellow ones, and this is what oxygen looks like. It's 2, and then whenever they react together, you get these ones that look red and yellow, and that's what the molecular structure of carbon oxide is, which is really cool. So experiment with it. It's really fun. And again, you just have to use salt and also vinegar and water. All right, guys, thank you for watching Science with Shields. I can't wait to see your pictures of your pennies.